good afternoon. If it's your first time on my channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. I big up all my subscribers and all my first time subscribers, and I'm really thanking you all for the support. Coronavirus. Prime Minister Boris Johnson tested positive. Mr. Johnson said he had developed mild symptoms over the past 24 hours, including a temperature and a cough. He is self-isolating in Downing Street, but said he will continue to lead the government response via video conference as he fights the virus. Following Mr. Johnson's announcement, Health Secretary Matt Hancock also said he had tested positive for the virus. Mr. Hancock said his symptoms were also mild and he was working from home and self-isolating. Mr. Johnson was last seen on Thursday night, clapping outside number 10 as part of a nationwide gesture to thank NHS staffs and carers. He is thought to be the first world leader to announce he has the virus. In a video on Twitter account, Mr. Johnson, 55, said, "I'm working from home and self-isolating, and that's entirely the right thing to do. But be in no doubt that I can continue, thanks to the wizardry of modern technology, to communicate with all my top teams to lead the nation fight back against coronavirus." I want to thank everybody involved and, of course, our amazing NHS staff. So we went down and you say, so thank you to everybody who's doing what I'm doing, working from home to stop the spread of the virus from household to household. He had it. That's the way we're going to win. Mr. Johnson was tested at number 10 by NHS staff on the personal advice of England's Chief Medical Officer, Prof Chris Whitty. Downing Street said he remained in charge of the government handling of the crisis and is understood to have been chaired a phone call on Friday morning. Early this week, the Prime Minister spokesman said if Mr. Johnson was unwell and unable to work, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, as the first Secretary of State, would step in. Mr. Johnson is in the flat above 11 Downing Street, which is now sealed off. He's working from the office and study in number 11, with meals and working being left at the door of the flat. Mr. Johnson, official spokesman, said the Prime Minister's fiancée, Carrie Synod, who is several months pregnant, is also self-isolating, although it is not known if they are still living together. Pregnant women are advised to be particularly stringent when following social distancing advice and minimize social contact for up to 12 weeks. Mr. Johnson's spokesman said that all number 10 staff will, of course, remain 2 meters apart from him at all times if they were to have any contact. His self-isolation will need at least 7 days, according to the advice for people with symptoms. Mr. Johnson has been seen at several of the government's televised daily briefing in the past week, where he has appeared alongside senior medical officers to update the country on the virus. Also on Friday, Mr. Hancock said he had been working from home over the last couple of days with mild symptoms and will be self-isolating until Thursday. Number 10 has previously confirmed that if the Prime Minister couldn't work, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab would take over. At the moment, that's not happening. The question now is who the PM has contact with and who else will need to be tested. Measures have already been taken to limit contact in Downing Street. Cabinet earlier this week was largely by conference call, and the daily briefing had gone digital too. However, the PM has been in Parliament in recent days and some senior figures in person for Cabinet, including the Chief Medical Officer and the Health Secretary. The Prime Minister, Brexit navigator David Frost, is already understood to be off work with suspected symptoms of the virus. Neither the PM, Senior Advisor Dominic Cummings, nor Chancellor Rishi Sunak, with whom Mr. Johnson recently appeared alongside while following social distancing, had symptoms. They have not been tested. At Buckingham Palace, spokesman confirmed the Queen 93 saw Mr. Johnson more than 2 weeks ago on the 11th of March, and she's in good health. The pair usually meet weekly for the Prime Minister audience with the Queen, but the most recent meetings have been over the phone. There are more than 11,600 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the UK, and 578 people have died. The Prince of Wales also tested positive for the virus earlier this week. Prince Charles, 71, is said to be displaying mild symptoms, but otherwise remain in good health. A spokesman said he is self-isolating in his residence at Birkhall on the Balmoral estate and continue to work. Among the other public figures to be self-isolating is Labour Angela Rayner, who said on Friday she has shown symptoms of the virus. Other world leaders, including Canada Justin Trudeau and Germany Angela Merkel, has self-isolated after coming into contact with people who have tested positive for the virus, which caused the disease COVID-19. Concerns have been raised about whether Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro may possibly already have the virus. He has twice said that his test came back negative, but has refused to provide proof. Nobody is immune. Politicians, including Labour's Shadow Home Secretary Diane Abbott, shared the message to the PM, wishing him a speedy recovery. Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, added, "Sorry to hear this and hope you'll feel better soon. Thank you for everything your government is doing to help us fight this." He said it was a reminder that everyone can get the virus. The SNP Westminster leader Ian Blackford said Mr. Johnson's diagnosis sadly shows nobody is immune. Former Chancellor Sajid Javid and ex-Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt both said the whole country was thinking of Mr. Johnson and praised him on his strong leadership. Meanwhile, the president of the European Council, Charles Michel, said, Mr. Johnson, Europe wishes you a speedy recovery. It comes as police forces in London or England and Wales have fined people for ignoring guidance to prevent the spread of coronavirus. The head of the National Security Chief Council also said the military was on standby for a worst-case scenario of police sickness. So, as you can hear, nobody is immune. Like one say, if Boris Johnson can contact coronavirus, who can't? But I'll say, if the Prince of Wales can contact coronavirus, who can? Nobody is immune. A simple guides, you have to, what are the symptoms? Avoiding contact, stress. Look up tools, maps and chart. Wear your mask if you have to go out. Do distancing from each other. Avoid so much social contact. You don't want to tell us that you can't stay in your house for 14 days. In China, they stay 1 month and some are still inside. My viewers and subscribers, I know some of their names, I didn't call them properly according to your standard. But this is not about who can say how the words go. It's about you not catching corona, and neither do I. I wish us all a safe journey through corona. Oh yes. Even though I welcome corona because many of us were getting out of hand. My viewers and subscribers, once again, I thank you all. And as I always said, and I'll say now again, in this coronavirus setback, I want you to be able to stay home, meditate upon your lifestyle. If it's pleasing even in your own eyes, nobody's judging you, in your own eyes. And walk in peace, my friend. Shalom.